You know that feeling when your direct deposit hits? That little, I don't know, that little dopamine rush when you see the notification pop up on your phone?
Oh, yeah. It's the moment you feel like, okay, I'm finally getting ahead.
Right. The validation of your hard work. Maybe it's even a slightly bigger number than last year because you got that, that 3% cost of living adjustment.
Yeah,
You feel good.
you feel responsible.
Exactly.
Mm.
But then, fast forward like 3 days. You pay the rent, you fill up the gas tank, you do the big weekly grocery
The
run.
one where you actually buy the good
The
cheese.
one where you buy the good cheese, and suddenly you look at the balance and you get that sinking feeling. You're like, wait a minute. I have more money, so why do I feel poorer than I did 2 years ago?
It's the universal gaslighting of the modern economy. It really is.
Hmm.
It's that sensation of running on a treadmill that someone keeps subtly cranking up the speed on.
Yeah.
You're sprinting faster, your stats say you're performing better, but you're physically staying in the exact same spot.
Or slipping backward. And that's what we're digging into today. We are going to validate that frustration. Because it's not just you being bad at budgeting, and it's not just because you bought one too many lattes.
What math?
It is math, but it's a very specific kind of deceptive math that governs our lives. We're doing a deep dive into the purchasing power of labor.
Sounds technical, but what we're really talking about is the difference between the number on your paycheck.
And what that number can actually do for you. We're going to strip away the jargon and explain why getting a raise can sometimes, somehow, act as a pay cut.
And why more money doesn't necessarily mean richer. To understand this, we have to start by breaking down the two realities of wages. Because in economics and in your wallet, there isn't just one definition of pay.
Right. We have to separate the nominal wage from the real wage. Now, nominal sounds like one of those throwaway words you hear on the news, but it's actually the trap we all fall into.
It is the trap. The nominal wage is simply the face value. It's the number written on your employment contract, the digits you see in your bank app.
Yeah. So if I make $50,000, my nominal wage is $50,000.
For $50,000. It doesn't care about context. It just cares about the count.
It's the vanity metric. It's the number we brag about. Oh, I pulled in 100K this year. Our brains are wired to love big numbers. If the number goes up, the lizard brain says, good, more berries gathered.
Precisely. But the nominal wage is operating in a vacuum. It assumes that a dollar today is worth exactly the same as a dollar 10 years ago.
Which we know is fundamentally untrue.
Exactly. And that's where the real wage comes in, to ruin the party.
The reality check.
The real wage ignores the number of digits and looks strictly at volume. Specifically, the volume of goods and services you can exchange that labor for.
So it's not, how much money do I have?
No, it's what can I actually get with this money?
This brings us to my favorite part of this research, which I'm calling the Burger Index. It's such a perfect way to visualize why that nominal number is lying to you.
Well, it's a classic way to teach purchasing power because it removes the abstraction. It makes it about lunch.
Okay, so let's walk through the scenario. Let's say we are in a simplified economy. My nominal wage, my salary is $1,000. And in this economy, a standard burger costs $5.
A decent price. So if we calculate your real wage, your purchasing power, we just divide the income by the cost of the good.
Right. $1,000 divided by $5. My real wage is 200 burgers. I am 200 burgers rich. That is my economic standing.
I mean, you can feed yourself 200 times.
Exactly. Now let's introduce the variable that messes everything up. Time passes.
Yeah.
You work hard. You go into your boss's office. You present your quarterly results, and you demand a raise.
And because you're a great employee, they give it to you. They bump your salary to, let's say, $1,100.
Whoa, I'm popping the champagne.
Mm-hmm.
My nominal wage just went up by 10%. I see an extra $100 in my account. I feel successful. I'm texting my friends.
But while you were negotiating that raise, the economy shifted. The cost of beef went up, energy costs rose, and the burger joint had to raise their prices.
Uh-oh.
The burger now costs $6.
Okay, so I'm still feeling good because I have $1,100. But if I actually do the math on my real wage now,
You take that $1,100 and you divide it by 6.
and the calculator spits out approximately 183.
183 burgers.
Wait, hold on. I went from being able to buy 200 burgers to only 183.
Correct.
So even though I have $100 more in my pocket, I am technically poorer by 17 burgers.
That is the illusion of the nominal raise. You have more currency, but you have less capacity. Your purchasing power didn't just stay flat, it actively shrank.
Wow.
You're working the same hours, doing the same job, getting more money, and yet you can survive for fewer days than you could before.
That's actually brutal when you frame it as survival days. It's like, I used to be able to eat for 200 days on this check. Now I can only eat for 183. The scary part is that if I didn't do the burger math, I'd still be celebrating the raise.
And that is exactly what happens to millions of people every single year. They celebrate the nominal increase, while the real decrease eats away at their lifestyle. They see the deposit hit and think, I'm winning. But then they get to the end of the month and wonder why they can't save anything.
It's the lifestyle creep that isn't actually your fault. Usually when we talk about lifestyle creep, it's like, oh, you bought a boat. But this is the price of staying alive crept up.
Exactly. And obviously, we don't just live on burgers.
Right. My cardiologist suggests otherwise.
If only it were that simple. So economists use a broader tool to measure this. They can't track every single purchase, so they create a metaphorical basket of goods.
What's in the basket?
It represents the standard cost of participation in modern society.
I really like the specific items usually included in this because it shows how inflexible our lives actually are. We're talking about things like rent, gasoline, milk, clothing, and the internet.
Those are the heavy hitters. And notice something about that list. Most of them are inelastic.
Meaning I can't just decide not to buy them?
Exactly. If the price of a luxury yacht goes up, you just don't buy a yacht. No problem. But if the price of a rent goes up,
You have to pay it.
you have to pay it. If gas goes up, you still have to drive to work to earn the money to buy the gas.
And the internet one is interesting too. 50 years ago, that wouldn't have been in the basket. But today, try applying for a job, paying your bills, or even checking your kids' school grades without it.
It's a utility now. It's a non-negotiable tax on modern life. So this basket of goods becomes the yardstick. Your wealth isn't determined by your bank balance. It's determined by the relationship between your paycheck and the basket.
It's a race. My paycheck is the turtle, and the basket is the hare.
And if the cost of that basket, the rent, the milk, the data plan, increases at a faster rate than the digits on your paycheck, your standard of living collapses.
Even if, and this is the crucial part, even if my paycheck is growing.
Even if it's growing. That's the part that feels so unfair. You could be doing everything right, getting the promotions, hitting the targets, and still be losing the race because the finish line keeps moving.
So let's talk about that. There's a specific scenario that illustrates this perfectly. I think you called it the raise trap.
The raise trap. Let's look at a case study. We can call our worker Annie.
Okay, let's look at Annie. She's a high performer. She shows up early, leaves late. She's the one you want on your team. It's performance review season.
Right. So she sits down with her manager. Let's call him Sean. And Sean is a good guy. He wants to reward her. He looks at the budget, pulls some strings, and offers her a 4% salary increase.
In a normal year, 4% is pretty decent. It's solid. Annie is probably thinking, okay, that covers my hard work. I can upgrade my car, maybe put a little extra in the 401k.
She signs the paper, shakes hands, feels valued. There's a but.
There's a but. Here is the context Sean didn't mention, or maybe didn't even realize himself. Inflation that year is running at 7%.
So the cost of the basket, the gas, the rent, the milk has gone up by 7%.
Correct. So let's look at the math of Annie's reward. Her income rose by 4%. Her cost rose by 7%. So she is technically in a 3% deficit.
She has taken a 3% pay cut.
That is mind-blowing. She walks out of that office thinking she got a promotion, but effectively, she just got a demotion.
It's worse than a demotion. Think about what a paycheck actually represents. It's a trade. You trade your time, your finite hours on this earth, for a store of value.
My 40 hours for your X dollars.
Exactly. When inflation outpaces your raise, the market is effectively telling you that your time is worth less than it was last year.
Ooh. Okay, that hits hard.
Think about it. Annie worked just as hard this year. She has more experience now than she did last year. She is technically a better employee.
Right. She should be worth more.
She should be. But because the purchasing power of her wage dropped by 3%, she's exchanging her hour of labor for a smaller slice of the basket.
So the market has devalued her existence.
In economic terms, yes.
Yeah.
She has to work more hours this year just to buy the exact same amount of stuff she bought last year.
And that's the treadmill speeding up feeling we talked about at the start. It's not in her head. She is running faster, sweating more, but the basket is moving further away.
And the insidious part is the psychological victory. The nominal raise, that plus 4%, masks the injury.
Yeah, if her boss had said, hey, Annie, great job this year, so we're going to cut your salary by 3%, she would quit.
She would flip the table. She'd walk out immediately.
But because it's framed as a raise that simply loses to inflation, she stays. She might even say thank you.
She probably does.
Man, that is diabolical when you think about it. It relies on us not doing the math. It relies on us looking at the nominal number and ignoring the real reality.
Which is why understanding this is a superpower.
Mm-hmm.
Once you see the raise trap,
Mm-hmm.
you stop negotiating for just a number. You start negotiating for purchasing power.
So how do we flip the script? If the numbers are deceptive and the raises can be traps, what is the actual metric we should be aiming for? What does doing well actually look like?
Well, there's concept that cuts through all the noise. It's called the golden rule of standard of living.
I like the sound of a golden rule. Lay it on me.
It completely reframes the definition of wealth. It states that your standard of living depends not on the quantity of paper notes you possess. It is not about the stack.
So it's not about hitting that six-figure mark or becoming a millionaire.
No. Because if you're a millionaire in a hyperinflationary economy where a loaf of bread costs $1 million, you're starving.
Right.
The golden rule states that standard of living depends entirely on the ease with which one can cover their basket of goods.
The ease. That's a really interesting word choice. It's not about the volume, it's about the friction.
Exactly. Think about the stress levels. Ease implies margin. Ease implies that you pay the rent and you don't feel it. You buy the groceries and you aren't mentally tallying the cart total before you get to the register.
That is the real dream, isn't it? It's not necessarily about owning a private jet. It's about going to the grocery store, buying the raspberries, even though they're ridiculously expensive.
And not having your heart rate spike.
Yes, that's it. That is wealth. If you make a modest income, but your cost of living is low and your basket is light, you have ease.
You are, by this definition, wealthy. You have purchasing power.
And conversely, you could be that person making $250,000 a year, but you live in the most expensive city, you have a massive mortgage, 2 luxury car leases.
Private school tuition. And your basket is so heavy that you are struggling to lift it every month. You have zero ease. You have high nominal wages, but low real freedom.
You are statistically rich, but experientially poor.
Exactly.
This shifts the goalpost entirely. We spend our whole careers trying to pump up the income column, get the raise, get the bonus, get the side hustle. But the golden rule suggests we should be paying just as much attention to the basket column.
You have to manage the gap. That's the game. The wider the gap between your income and your basket, the more ease you have. And the only way to widen that gap is to either aggressively grow the real wage
Fighting for raises that actually beat inflation?
or aggressively shrink the basket.
Or both.
Ideally both.
Yeah.
But you can't do either if you're mesmerized by the nominal number. You have to put on the real wage glasses.
So let's bring this all the way back to that notification on your phone. The direct deposit hits.
Don't just look at the number. Look at the context.
We've learned that the number is just ink on paper or pixels on a screen until it's compared to the basket.
And we've seen that a 4% raise in a 7% world is a polite way of telling you that you're worth less.
And we know now that the goal isn't just more money. The goal is more ease. It's about maintaining the value of your labor against the tide of rising costs.
Then realizing that your time is a finite resource. Don't sell it for a currency that buys you less every year.
That is the big takeaway for me. We need to stop being passive observers of our paychecks. We treat it like the weather. Oh, I got a raise, nice. No, it's a negotiation of your life's value.
It is. And next time you're in that performance review and they offer you a number, do the math. Pull up the inflation rate. Ask yourself, am I getting a raise or am I just getting a cost of living adjustment that's slightly too small?
Am I buying 200 burgers or 183?
And if it's 183, where did my other 17 burgers go?
Exactly. Don't let them steal your burgers, people. It's been a pleasure diving into the math of misery with you today.
Always a joy. Keep watching those baskets.
We'll catch you on the next deep dive.